Hello and welcome to Breaking Bread with Rivaj Maharaj, where nothing is off the table. For today's episode, I wanted to talk about my views on what Donald Trump is doing and how it is impacting the world and what I believe the reasons are and the future is regarding his actions. So without further ado, let's get into it. Today I wanted to talk about Donald Trump and everything he seems to be doing, the method to the madness, if you want to say. You see, Donald Trump, the way I view him is I see him as a disruptor. And by that I mean, when you look at Deliveroo coming onto the market was regarded as a disruptor. It finds an opening in the market. There is currently a system in place. However, they come in, disrupt the market. Uber did the very same thing when you look at the black cabs in the UK. There is a system that's going on and it's working, but Uber finds that they can come in really cheap, disrupt the market, create a monopoly, and then solidify their existence in that market and take over a share of the market. Now, Trump is doing very much the same thing. I believe that, as I've said in my previous podcasts, the United States was at a tipping point. It was seen as the laughingstock of the world. The liberal policies that were brought in were extremely detrimental to the way in which society was heading. And it had ushered in a sense of, if you want, madness that most people just couldn't understand. Now, you have this undercurrent flowing. You have these policies creating something that just doesn't make sense. For example, when you see gays for Gaza, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because if you were gay in Gaza, it would be the end of your life. When you look at what Yahya Sinwar did to one of the heads of Hamas's military units in Gaza, and this guy came from, I can't get his name off the top of my head for now. I'll try and attach that article to it. But he came from, if you want, Hamas royalty. And he headed a brigade there. But, and apparently his mum had even shielded Sinwar when he was in hiding. And she begged Sinwar to please spare her son's life. But because he was gay, he was murdered. Now, Donald Trump, coming back to Donald Trump. So what has happened is the United States, as I say, was becoming the laughingstock. Under Biden, it was looking more and more like a really impotent superpower. A toothless tiger. And Donald Trump had to be brought in to realign the political playing field. Now, when Donald Trump was standing for elections for his second term, I remember many people saying it's not possible, he will never win. And if you had your ear to the ground, you would see that the lunacy created by those previous administration's policies had created an undercurrent where people were actually, the silent majority, were not happy with what was going on, but wouldn't necessarily speak out about it publicly. And that is where the shift would come in. So Donald Trump was brought in. This is, by the way, now, once again, these are my personal views. I'm not saying they're correct. I'm just telling you what I think. Donald Trump was brought in to reinvigorate America as this superpower, because it was inevitable that a clash was on the horizon. America needed to do something to regain the greatness that it once had. And following the policies and the people that came before Trump, they just ushered in era after era of a joke and senseless policies that led to nowhere. And, we see it happening in the UK. We see it happening in Europe. So, I'm all for helping people. I'm all for helping the underprivileged. However, I feel that we need to be strong in order to be able to help somebody. There's no point you taking away your last slice of bread, giving it to somebody else, and they eat for a day, and then the both of you are dead after that. You might as well build yourself up when you are strong and able to then help somebody and then help them to help themselves. That's different. But just, throwing away whatever you have is insane. It's madness. You've spent generations building something up only to give it away. So I believe Donald Trump came in as this disruptor. Now, America is regaining its posture in the world. For whether you agree with that or disagree, for right or for wrong, it's immaterial. The point is that from the American elite's perspective, or the people that have managed to get Donald Trump in, he's doing what is required to make America, for want of a better word, great again. And this is why I believe that anybody, so for example, the Greenland issue. The Greenland issue is a classic case because he's made a move on it. Moves have been made in the past by previous presidents, but nothing was done. He's now made some sort of a move on it, and he's brought it back to the forefront. So even if you get rid of Donald Trump, even if you assassinate Donald Trump, even if he loses the next election, these policies have already been enacted. The seeds have already been planted. It's for somebody else coming after him to move forward with them. But the dirty work, the groundwork of removing whatever is there standing in the way of these policies has been done. And for that, you really need somebody like Donald Trump, somebody that is narcissistic, who only cares about themselves, doesn't care about what other people think or say about them. So he fits that. You need somebody who is going to be strong and say, I'm prepared to do this. Because let's not forget, more is lost by indecision than wrong decision. For too long, Western countries have seemed like they've been sitting on a fence, not sure of which way to go, trying to please everybody and make everybody happy, and that never works. It just never works. Look at Kamala Harris's campaign that she ran, where she was using an advert to target Muslim voters in a given region, and then subsequently doing an advert for the Jewish voters in that very same region. So, people call you out very quickly. You need to have a standing. You need to say, this is what I stand for, this is who I am. Because if you don't, it means you sit on the fence. And sitting on the fence in this case means that you'll go whichever way the wind blows. People want a commitment from their leader. Whether that commitment coming from Donald Trump is right or wrong, I'm not arguing it's either. I'm saying he's giving the people what they want. They want a commitment. They want to believe in somebody that seems to be shaping their future in a way they want to see it go. Now, you and I may disagree with that. We may disagree where that future lies or that future that he's creating. We may disagree on it. But that's immaterial. It doesn't matter to us. Because the people that put him in there, it matters to them. The people that he is representing, it matters to them. And for them, they believe that this is the right way. What I will agree with, however, is whether his policies are right or wrong, you need a leader that takes action. Not somebody that is left, right, this way, that way. Today I'm doing this, tomorrow I'm doing that, going back. It doesn't work. You need somebody that makes a decision. And I know they say Taco Trump, the thing is, he creates this discourse. He is always front and center. Whatever he does, whether it's almost like no publicity, the saying that no publicity is bad publicity. So I believe, yes, that he is clearing like a bulldozer, he is clearing the path so that the next president that comes in will have a platform on which to continue. Because frankly, I don't see how the previous administration's policies will continue in perpetuity after Trump, because it's insane. You've seen that the majority of people, while they want to help people, uncontrolled migration, illegal migration, these types of things, they don't want. So I think that Trump is coming in, he's disrupting, he's clearing the garden and making sure that the soil is fertile for people coming in after him to then build on it. You'll get somebody like J.D. Vance coming in, hypothetically, let's say for argument's sake, after Trump, who is not necessarily flattered the way Trump is not somebody whose ego needs to be inflated. You've heard him speak. He's a no-nonsense character, but he doesn't need you blowing smoke up his ass to make him feel happy. And that is what is coming down the line. So that's basically what I wanted to say. I want to thank you for spending time with us on this episode, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe, as it helps us with the algorithm and it helps the channel to grow.